What's up, guys? So I've been teasing you guys for a couple of weeks saying that I had locked in a deal on probably the most epic abandoned car I had ever found. Well, today's the day. You can see we've got the trailer hooked up, so we are about to hit the road and go get this thing picked up. I've known about this car for several years, and I've been trying to make a deal on this thing, and it just hadn't worked out, but now it has. So we're gonna get loaded up, hit the road. I think you guys are gonna like this. Well, we made it. You can tell it's been a long time since anybody came in and out of here. It does say private property on the gate, but I do promise we have permission to be here. We definitely have some clearing we're gonna have to do in the driveway. That way we can get the truck and trailer in here without scratching up and messing up too much. But to begin with, we're gonna go ahead and walk in here, take a look at this car, show you guys what we have found, and see what exactly it's gonna take to get this thing on the trailer. Now, like I told y'all before, this is a car that's been on my bucket list for a long time. I've pretty much checked off almost every box of classic cars that I would like to have in my collection, and this is one that's been missing. So I've been trying to make a deal on this thing for absolutely forever, and things just kind of worked out in the last couple of weeks where I was able to finally make a deal. And again, I haven't seen this thing in a couple of years, so I have no idea what kind of shape it's in, but it's sitting up here in the bushes. This is going to be probably the coolest car, and definitely, well, I say the coolest car, but it'll definitely be the rarest car in our collection. There it is. Guys, this is a 67 Chevy II, two-door, hardtop. Definitely one of the rarest cars that will be in our collection because this thing was only made in this body style for 2 years. And so I've been trying to make a deal for absolutely forever on this thing. So I'm super excited to actually be here to pick this thing up. I've been waiting for a long time. But overall, for it to have been sitting here for as long as it has, which is at least 20 years, they said they've owned the car 20 plus years. So it's been sitting right here for at least 20 years. It's not horrible. The quarter panels need a little bit of patching. Rockers seem to be sort of solid, but there is absolutely no floor left in this car. It had started rotting a little bit, so they just went ahead and cut out all that, so it's one big gaping hole in there. No big deal. It just so happens we know how to do floor pans. So we'll go ahead and get all that fixed once we start working on this thing. But I did not want to miss the opportunity to grab this car before anybody was able to change their mind. So we're here to get it, so we got to come up with a little bit of a game plan. I brought some 6x6s to use as skids, so if we need to, we can jack this thing up, set it down on the skids, and then hook the winch to it, drag it straight, and pull it up on the trailer. But like I said, that's not really that big of a deal. We'll get this figured out. We just have to kind of do a little bit of brainstorming and kind of come up with a game plan. But we're gonna get to work getting this thing loaded. Well, mistakes have been made. We drove all the way in here, got the trailer here, got ready to start loading the car, realized I left my winch battery at the shop. We were so worried about making sure we had everything that we left something. So that's how that goes. But anyway, called Trusty Cloud Auto Parts, which you guys see us at all the time. My boy Johnny there said he's got one at his house, which is just up the road, so that keeps us from having to go all the way back to our shop. So, you know, just a couple of miles as opposed to like 10. So we're gonna go back and get the battery from his place. So huge shout out to Johnny for making sure that we stay in business today. So we got the deuce cleaned up and back to the shop. So super excited to have this thing here, but figured since we got it back, I'd take a few minutes, kind of give you guys a little bit of the rundown on this car, kind of the story that I got with it, and kind of what we're looking at to be able to get this thing fixed and back together. So some friends of mine apparently bought this car years and years ago, where their family did, and had plans of bringing it back and pretty much making it a drag and drive car. So since then, the car has been sitting on the property where they dropped it, and that was approximately 20 years ago from the estimate that I got. So it's been sitting for a very, very long time. And a few years ago, I was over there. I had went to pick up a couple of things from them, saw it sitting there, and had asked some questions about it. And since then, I've pretty much been trying to talk them into getting rid of it. But anyway, so they finally agreed to make a deal on this thing, and I'll tell you guys kind of what we have in mind. What we're looking at is they have a Monte Carlo drag car that needs some body work and some paint. I volunteered, if they were willing to get rid of this car, to do the body work and paint on it for them in exchange for the Chevy II body. So as I said, this thing's been sitting for a very, very long time, and it was in a little bit better shape whenever I first saw it and was trying to make a deal on it. But it's all right. We've made a deal now. So I wanted to show you guys kind of what's going on with this thing, what it looks like, and what kind of work it's going to take to get it back together. But you can see right there that just a pressure wash really made a difference for this thing. So what we're going to do, I'll go ahead and start at the front driver's side corner. Obviously, we don't have a front end or fenders. The fenders are in the car, but they're absolutely wrecked, as well as the hood. So just not even going to talk about that. But we'll talk about the shell of the car starting here. So starting at the front, you can already see it's pretty rotten. I probably actually could have pressure washed down here. I made it a little bit better, but it's fine. So down there is pretty rotten, which we'll talk about more once I get to the inside of the car. But right here on the driver door, as expected, as with every one of these classic cars that we pick up, there's rust in the bottoms of the doors. But these doors really are not terrible. They could have some patches, or we could do, you know, door skins or something like that. But we'll cross that bridge once we get to it. The rocker panels here, pretty solid from front to back from what I can tell. Obviously need a little bit of work, but not as bad as they could be. Moving on to our quarter panels, as expected, rust in the bottoms. But as far as I can tell, on the driver's side rocker panel on the front part, that spot of rust right there is all we're dealing with. The wheel arch seems to be in pretty decent shape. Obviously, once we start digging into that, start working on this thing, we'll be able to tell more. But moving to the back, behind the wheel, obviously we have all that rust. So what I'm thinking on this driver's side, honestly, the top side is pretty solid. Everything sounds good. I don't see any rust whenever I look in the trunk channel right there, which we'll talk more about in a minute. But I'm thinking, honestly, lower quarter panels, and we'll be able to get this joker 100% solid on this side. I don't think it'll take too much at all. Moving to the back here, no tail lights, anything like that. But I was looking at the trunk lid, and this thing, in all honesty, there is no rust in it. It's pretty solid. So we're starting out with a good trunk lid. And then, like I said, right here in the channels, I need to clean a little more up there, but in the channels, no rust, which is a good sign. Oh, actually, you know what? A little bit of rust right there. That's going to be easy. But aside from that, trunk channel is pretty solid. I have not seen the trunk floors yet, because it does have a lot of stuff. And all of this stuff is theirs. I was supposed to leave this box, but when I picked it up, it fell apart. So I told them I was just going to leave everything in here as it is, so they can come over here, go through, and figure out what they want, don't want, and then we can kind of go from there. I really expected the window channels around the back glass and the front glass to be completely rotted, because typically whenever I pick up these abandoned cars like this that have been sitting for a long time, or these old classics, that is something that tends to rot out in every single one of them. So whenever we were looking around this one earlier and we saw that there was really no rust in those window channels, I was actually really surprised and really happy, because fixing that is a whole lot of work and takes a lot of time. So the fact that we don't have to mess with any of that, that is a plus already right off the rip. So moving to our passenger side, this side is definitely a little bit worse than the driver's side. But again, I'm thinking it's only going to be lower quarter panels. Obviously, the one back here is rotten. And then it looks like they ground the paint back, getting ready to do some work here, and then just stopped. So this whole section right here has started to rust. You can see right there. So I'm thinking, again, lower quarters, but we may end up doing that, like that half quarter panel. So that way we can get rid of that rust right there in the wheel arch as well. But the rocker panel, front to back, solid again. The passenger door is pretty much the same story as the driver door. Looks like it had some rust here. They went ahead and cut that out to get started, but never finished it. So you've got rust there, and then you have rust there. So probably door skins on both sides, which is, you know, this is a good candidate for that because that's something I haven't done. I've done a lot of quarter panels, but I've never reskinned a door. So honestly, this is a good candidate for that. It's nice and square, so it should be easy. So this will be a good one to learn on. And one thing I'm really, really happy about with this is that all of the glass is present, as well as all of the door cranks or window cranks and all of that. All those mechanisms are in here. So we're way ahead of the game on that, even if it has to come out, be cleaned up, powder coated, whatever we have to do to get all of that stuff clean and looking good. At least it's all here and we don't have to try to track that down because there are no parts cars out there for these. Not that I've found anyway in this area. They're just not here. So we've got a lot of things that we will have to source, but some of that really, really hard stuff, at least it's here and we don't have to look for it. So now moving to the inside of the car. So there's a little bit of rust that I noted right there. Easy stuff. The rest of this in here, all of the door jambs and stuff seem to be pretty solid, but this A-pillar right here, it's pretty rough. So it's going to take some figuring out how to address that and how to fix it. It could be worse. But then this is the big thing. This is kind of this is the worst of the worst right here on this car. So what I'm thinking though is honestly, we're probably going to end up putting this car on a rotisserie and just doing a full one-piece pan, which I think will be the easiest thing because then it'll be the transmission tunnel and everything associated with it. So not that big of a deal. We've done floor pans. They're easy. But evidently these were pretty rotten. You can see right there, like this whole thing just kind of flexes. So evidently these were in bad shape. They went ahead and cut them out. I'm not sure exactly what the plan was, if they were planning on doing like a tube chassis type deal or what, but they just cut everything out of here, left the transmission tunnel. So I'm thinking one-piece floor pan and we should be good to go. There's definitely still some research for me to do on this car because for some reason I was thinking these were unibody cars and they did not have any frame whatsoever, including the subframe. I know the 68 to 72 Novas, I know them really well, and I know that they have subframes just like the 67 to 69 Camaros. It's the same thing. But with this car, I was thinking it was a unibody, but now that I'm looking at it, it does not look like they cut anything off the front. So I'm kind of wondering if it has its own type of subframe and stuff like that. So I definitely have some research to do and a lot to learn with this one. But I do have a big vision for this car. I've got a paint scheme in mind, and I'm trying to kind of decide if I want to stick small block or if I want to do an LS swap on this car and just like completely modernize this thing. Modern suspension, you know, so that way it has the modern ride, AC, all of that, and then the LS so that it's the classic look, but something completely modern, because that's also something I've never done on a build as far as like just modernizing one of these old cars. But I got to say though, overall, I'm extremely, extremely happy with this. I feel like I got a good deal, and I think this is going to be something that's going to be absolutely fun to work on, even if it takes us a bit to get to it. I know that some of you guys that have been watching for a while, you've seen me drag in a lot of cars. You've seen me drag in the 66 Mustang. I've dragged in the tube chassis Camaro. I've dragged in my Papa's square body, and now I've drug in the Chevy II. But I also know that all these old school hot rods are going away. They're getting rarer by the day, whether it be a crusher, whether it be whatever. They're not making any more of them. And so anytime I have a chance to get one of these old cars and get it over here where I know that I will work on it one day, I have to take it. And you're probably thinking, Coop, you've got way too much going on. You keep piling this stuff up. It's never going to get completed. But I promise you, that's not going to be the case. I know I was always the guy that hated to see one of these old cars sitting because I knew that it had potential. I knew it could be worked on. And I just knew that where it was sitting, it was going to sit and it was going to rot to the ground and nothing was ever going to be done with it. But I'm not that guy. This square body project has taken way, way longer than it was supposed to. And we ended up going far deeper than we ever intended to go. So it's taken a lot of time. But after we get past this one, nothing that we have to build after this should take this long. Behind the scenes, I have been gathering parts and stockpiling parts and all of that good stuff for all of our future builds so that way, once we get through with this thing that has taken way too long, we'll be able to get on those and it'll be able to move really, really fast. But guys, I hope I didn't absolutely bore you to death with this video. I've just been really, really excited to share this with you guys, and I'm super, Super excited to have made a deal on this thing and finally be able to drag it out of the woods so that hopefully one day it can be given brand new life. But if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more of this thing and all of our other builds, make sure you check out that video right there, because YouTube thinks it's going to be the best thing for you to watch next. And hit that subscribe button so you don't miss anything, because there's a lot more of this coming up. As always, I appreciate you tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one. Deuces.